Good morning.
Good morning. I've been, thinking about what we could talk about today. And one of the things that I've been so struggling with is like balancing all the things I'm doing. So I want to get into that a little bit today. But what have you been up to? What are you working on this week?
Oh gosh, I've been working on just trying to keep my mind straight about stuff.
Yep.
This week, because I'm usually doing 3 spaces a week, and this will be my 4th. So that's why I'm like, okay, just trying to keep it all together. Yeah, and maintain 3 jobs or whatever, in the process. Yeah. So my thought was pretty much, what types of artists we're going to bring in, like kind of getting a collective understanding of what our market is, and then understanding what types of art they, focus on. Because I think somehow that's going to have to be broken down little by little, like a crafter space, versus a content creator space versus a, advertising space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. And I like the idea of having it all, when starting out with it just being whatever kind of comes forward and see where it takes us, because a lot of this stuff, it gets separated, but I think there's more in common there than people maybe realize, and we can probably learn from each other. Like, I'm not a painter. I like crafts. I don't really get into it that much, but I love what those people are doing and totally learn from them, and vice versa. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah. And the balancing of all the things going on, I'm with you there. I have been going through a little bit with that myself. I had a lot of projects that kind of like were building and I had to deliver, and then they delivered, and now it's all kind of winding down. So I'm like over that hill, and now I'm winding down, and now I'm like, okay, how do I refocus my energy towards what's most important, or finding what I need to be working on, get that clear so that I can put my energy towards really what's going to drive me forward and fulfill me, creatively too.
Well, I think what you were saying earlier, I think that'll be disclosed once we kind of have an understanding, a little bit further in today's space. So I think that'll be good. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome. And feel free to join the conversation and ask to speak. This is an open forum, and I just want to get into some of the struggles that come with being a creative person, someone that's making something physically, but also translating that to putting it online, and how to reach your audience, putting it out on a website or on social media, trying to sell. These are all things that both Darby and I combined can really help with, because what Darby does is a lot of in-person art fairs and deals with that kind of end of things, which to me is just so fascinating. And then mine is more of the online pursuits for selling online, e-commerce, or an Etsy shop, for example, things like that, for getting our work out there digitally, and the practical things of, selling physical products and mailing them to people, so a lot of those things that people deal with. So yeah, anyone who wants to come up and talk about any of these subjects, you're welcome to. I wanted to get into the topic more about this struggle that I've been having this week of really focusing my energy. And I had almost like a crisis moment of like, I have too many things going on. I don't have enough time in the day. And then I almost like spun out a little bit, and then now nothing is getting accomplished. And I don't know, Darby, do you have a lot going on? Do you have any like tips or strategies for dealing with that kind of stuff? I came up with some things that help me a little bit, but what do you do? I'm curious.
The organization part is pretty much, I think it's individualized. I think it depends on, your type of, how you perceive your day, how you prioritize, how you, what your schedule's like. There's so many factors that are involved in that. And I think in a lot of ways, like how I keep organized is, obviously the traditional ways with the day planner, and then keeping that calendar up to date with where your schedule is. And, you can do that online, you can do that in manually, but I kind of tend to do a couple different things. I haven't found the reliability of a Google Calendar 100%, and yet I haven't found the reliability of an Apple Calendar either 100%. So, there are benefits to using those to stay organized and things like that. But for me, utilizing a calendar manually is the best option. That's just me. I'd love to move forward in an online way, but it's just something always falls through the cracks. And I don't know whether it's me and my magnetic personality, or whether it's something behind the app itself, or the calendar, having multiple calendars, whether that creates confusion. But I always tend to have issues with one or the other, or both at the same time. So that's where I've resorted to just utilizing a day planner type thing, to organize.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of people I talk to, even people who are, social media creators, they still have a physical planner book. And me, I went digital with my calendar, I don't know, it must have been now 10 years ago, maybe longer, because I was doing appointments and online booking with people. And I found that if I got everything online and I got that all figured out, I would be able to have people book time with me, and it wouldn't interrupt with anything else I was doing. And it took a lot off my plate mentally, as far as like these back and forth emails, like, okay, when are you free? When are you free? Oh, are you free? That whole dance that can go on. And it really helped with that. But it is something that, you have to take some time, put it aside, and put the calendar. Because if you have multiple calendars, that's where it does go haywire. So I just have the Google Calendar. That's where everything goes, and then I'm able to use that to talk to anything else I do.
Now, do you coordinate based on colors of projects? Like, do you address all of your web design in one color versus your photography in another color? How do you organize that in your Google Calendar?
Yeah, so the rest of that stuff I don't. So if it's something I have to be somewhere at a certain time, or have a time obligation, like this space, for example, or I have a meeting with somebody, or whatever it is, those are the things I put on my calendar, and then, or like a work job, whatever. And then the rest of it is, at my discretion daily. And that I do write out by hand. So I have, in the morning, I have a legal pad, what I want to get done today, and that changes throughout the day, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I forgot that. I'm going to add that, or I'm going to do that tomorrow. And so that's kind of how my workflow is. I'm not saying it's the best one, but that's what I developed over time, and it's really worked for me to keep focused. I have this week been not as good with it, but today I was on it. I woke up early. I got my clipboard and notepad out. I'm like, this is what we're going to get into in the space, what I've been dealing with, and I'm sure people can relate to. So, and then I have everything in front of me. I was able to get all my posts out that I wanted to get done before the space, all these other things, which was great. So yes, writing stuff down, I still do that, even with the digital calendar.
Yeah. Well, and we're also open to suggestions on how anybody else works. That's what this space is about. It's like, let's share mutual ideas so that we can brainstorm and allow those who are listening, or those who are participating, to have the potential to customize their organizational methods for maintaining their art and their passion in a productive way. So I think those things are important. I love knowing different new apps that are coming out and things that might be beneficial, because most of the time you're at the same apps, or the same thing over and over. They do the same thing and they're just a different name, so on and so forth. So, those things are pretty much, it depends on the person. So that's why, if anything, the whole purpose of this is to allow all of us to be open-minded and to maybe help each other and become better at our craft.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much, Darby, because what I'm doing is working for me. Doesn't mean it's the best thing I could be doing, and I'm sure other people could maybe take some tips from what I do and maybe apply it to what they do. So yeah, I love that. And Enemy, you want to speak? You have something on this subject about how do you organize your time? How do you schedule your life and all that stuff?
Thank you, Cate. Right, hello. My name is Anomi Phoenix, but if you have trouble saying that, Phoenix is fine. I'm a somewhat creator on this platform. I wouldn't classify myself as such, but considering all the activities I get up to, I'm kind of, I would say I'm entering that phase and evolving somewhat. So my tip, if you would want to stay organized, keep up to date with your goals on this platform, my primary piece of advice is network. And what I mean by that is reach out to, so let's say if you'll want to host a space on a regular basis, let's say a weekly space, you want to grow it and you want to get more speakers into it, but network with, let's say, just one person who would be interested in speaking with that one person, and then you make a promise to them: we do this on this day, on this time, little to no excuses, and that person would help you. They would either message you. They would either message you saying, are we still doing this, or hey, I have a suggestion for this, and then build up from there. Also reach out to the people who enjoy the stuff you produce on those. That could vary from the people you collaborate with to a few followers who have responded saying keep it up, or this is good, but can I recommend this? So just when you network, when you reach out to people, when you collab with people, when you connect with people, make your presence known on this platform. People would notice if you slack on the goals that you have openly announced to the platform. So, and if people like what you produce, they'll be motivated to make sure you reach your goals.
Yes, I love that. And I'm starting into spaces here in the past few weeks. And yeah, that's exactly what I've done. And I found that it's been so helpful. You find the right people, you connect, and find the people on here that are like, I want to build something too. I want to try something. I want to get into a specific subject. Darby and I connected and we talked. We actually did an X call like a phone call through X, which was such an awesome way to connect with somebody too. And we talked it out for nearly an hour, and we off the surface, off of our chat, we wouldn't have gotten into what we talked about, and we found the subject that resonated with both of us, that we had two different points of view on, and that would also be of value to an audience, just coming from a subject from two different directions. And I was just like, this speaking to me, this makes sense. And when you get that sense with somebody, it's just such an awesome experience. So I love what you had to say there, Phoenix, about networking, really just like scratching the surface on this. And I think Spaces is a great way to do it too. So awesome. Thank you for that comment. Bradley has his hand up. What would you like to add?
Oh, of course. Thank you, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I want to touch more on the topic of being productive, and obviously everybody's going to struggle with that naturally in a very digital world. I wanted to press reference what has worked for me and what I think others should try and incorporate is trying to find the best balance for yourself that is holistically inclined and in tune with your work ethic, with what you can handle, because I feel like a lot of people are very prone to burnout, and many people are very unaware of their limitations. So I'm the person that found the most success with just simply writing what I have to do today, and then picking one topic from that project. And if I get two of those things done, I consider my day a win. And I don't have to focus on anything anymore. If I have any approaching deadlines, I just get it out of the way. If anybody asks me anything, I got it done. And it probably takes me about an hour. I don't think we need to focus so much on productivity in the sense of where we have to keep working every single day and every single hour, because I know it feels that way, but the majority of us, we simply can get this work done in 5 hours or maybe even 4 hours and 3 hours. Realistically, super talented and super motivated at what you do, you are going to do it no matter what. You know, some of us, I bet, has worked on projects at 4 a.m, even when we really shouldn't, but we absolutely do. So it's more dependent on having more simplicity and more of a relaxed mind. For me, I use a calendar. A calendar to me is very important because it's a purview of what's upcoming. What is next? Well, okay, I'm going to be at this event at this hour at this day. You know, compared to having my entire task and to-do list and my events, it's just, especially because I'm a visual person, because I'm a designer, I feel like, okay, this is so much going on right now. Like, this is red, that's blue. What if I forget what blue is? And then oh shoot, I gotta put gas in my car. Okay, I gotta put that for this time. Okay, wait, let me go get coffee.
Okay, so Bradley, let me interject here. Quick question. You had started off by saying about burnout. How do you avoid that?
I would say being more in tune with what you're feeling, being more aware of who you are, where you are, getting 8 hours of sleep, not making sure that you're getting rest, you're having proper nutrition.
Well, you said you had been up a couple hours, or you might be working late into the wee hours of the evening. Into the wee hours of the morning. Do you find that productive? Or do you see more error to me? Because not everybody works that way. You know what I mean? But some people are better at those hours, some people aren't.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's all personal preference at the end of the day. But I've worked at those hours because it's like, oh man, I got this project and I need to get it done, and because I procrastinated, and it's more, if I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't kind of mentality. But other people, they are night owls and they do work productively at those hours. Because I think spiritually they're more energetic at those hours, and that's a different person. When people work at different times in different time zones, it's different, So I think people should work at their own leisure, at their own pace, and work what works for them.
Yes, absolutely. And I a lot of what you said, Bradley, resonated with me because that's kind of how I work too. I have the calendar with all the necessities, what I have to be, where and when, and then I do the daily, basically to-do list and then prioritize off of that. Yeah, when you get a big project and either it's procrastinating or it's something you're just really into, something gets going, it becomes like, oh, it's 1 a.m. I'm still working. Maybe I should make time for sleep now. But definitely prioritizing that, what you need to get done, and then going from there into your creative pursuits beyond that, I guess, is probably what I want to say. And yeah, Phoenix, go for it.
Just to build up on what Bradley just said, because I completely agree with what he said regarding burnout. I've relatively recently come to terms with that myself, and I realise I had a bit more advice to share. So, I think I would say the work out a daily routine. Let's say. So first advice is as soon as you wake up, don't immediately reach out for your phone and start looking at posts and thinking what to post, what to reply with, because let's face it's tempting, but when you're in that frame of mind, when you've just woken up, you're not going to really produce anything worth reading, worth reacting to, in the perspective of your followers. So what I would do is, when I wake up, I get like a few hours to get caffeine into my system, have a decent enough breakfast, and then switch on my notifications. And then in that moment, I am fully awake. My mind is in gear, and that is I find that incredibly useful. And granted, that I have noticed a dip in my overall impressions, but that's just part of the game, really. And I know this platform is by design in trying to encourage you to spend more and more and more and more and more and more and more of your time, but realistically, you can't. So I think there's a first step, actually, when I think about it, the first step before you do that is to let go of that drive to spend more and more of your time. Learn to let go. Learn to live in your offline life as well as your online life. So come to terms that you need a balance, and then work out a daily schedule that works for you. You'll work out how early that you should get online, how many times you should take breaks.
So you're basically saying routines are crucial to the creativity process.
Yes.
Okay. And then also what I would be curious about is, okay, Enemy, you are a Spaces host typically. What is your, if you don't mind me asking, obviously you know topics very well. What is your art or craft, or what is your more content? Is that what it is? I'm just trying to get a feel for what everybody's forte is.
Well, how do I organize my spaces?
Okay, so you're talking about the spaces as a host. Okay, gotcha. I'm just trying to understand, because everybody's going to come to this space with a different forte or different talent.
And just when I was speaking about content overall, I wasn't specifically talking about what I talking about everyone, because I could vary from simple posts and posting spaces.
Gotcha. That's so crucial, though. I mean, it's such a great topic to delve into, though. You hit the nail on the head with that, and so did Bradley. Bradley discussing, the burnout and everything else that he was talking about. It was great. We have several people now in the space. Anyone who wants to speak, please do. We also have the purple at the bottom. We would love for you to comment any type of takeaways that you feel are essential to you moving forward in your art and in your craft. Please, by all means, make little notations. That's what I do, at least. I don't know if that helps you or not, but some people can just remember everything, but I can't. Alex Utopia is here, and it's an honor to have Alex in our space, to be honest with you. I have been a huge fan of yours for a long time. You are musically talented. You're brilliant in so many ways, and you are a fantastic Spaces host as well, and co-host. How in the world do you stay up all night like you do? And how do you keep yourself throughout all this? I know you're going through some things too.
Hey guys, happy to be here. Just want to say hello and listen to what you guys do here, right? Got some thoughts on what people already said, but to answer your question, I don't know. I'm kind of, I'm self-employed working from the home office before, and this is the reason I'm on Spaces. This is how I started, right? I just need some people to talk to, actually.
Start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
me too.
Start connecting. Yeah. It's a matter of connecting and sharing the difference. I mean, you share how you connect, and you share your differences. It's neat. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Alex. Go ahead.
No, it's good. That's how I started, I guess. And I always had a tendency to stay up late night, right? And since I'm self-employed, I can kind of do that. I mean, sometimes I have client meetings, and then I gotta wake up early, but most of the time I try to push everything into the afternoon. So, because I always had a friend, even like when I was like more of a gamer a little bit, right? I played with American guys on Discord servers late at night. This has always been my thing. I think this is why I'm self-employed. I didn't want to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I can relate to that. Yeah, I live by myself. I work freelance, deal with my clients mostly, maybe on a Zoom call or email. So yes, X has been so wonderful for that. Reaching out, trying to connect with people, and hearing someone else's voice is like that is, but it is so important. And so I've just really enjoyed that connection that I found here. And when it comes to getting ready in the morning, Phoenix talking about that routine of not touching the phone until, you get your day rolling. And I don't know, I'm going to say what I do, which is kind of hilarious right now, but I am very creative when I first wake up. I have a lot of things that my brain has been processing overnight. I sleep very well and deeply. I don't wake up really. So like I wake up in the morning and I have a lot that I'm thinking about and processing. And I have a paper and I do write things right away and maybe usually wait 30 minutes to an hour before I have my first cup of coffee. And I just writing. But I also have been talking to AI to process my thoughts and ideas as well as a brainstorming strategy and just trying to get it out of me. So it's almost like a conversation. So that's just a little bit out there, but I am telling you, it's helped me quite a bit being someone that's like, I'm not interacting with people. Like I don't have kids or a husband or anything like that in my space to have those conversations with in the morning, which some people may forget. That actually it's incredibly inspiring and creative. So that's just my response to that. Anyone else have any thoughts, or we can switch to another subject?
You like me don't have a lot of interruptions other than maybe like I have a dog and she's named Wiggles and she tends to interrupt me all the time. Not the same Wiggle that's on our site. Sorry, Wiggle. We found that the hard way early because they had talked about Wiggles and Wiggles kept hearing her name. So that was funny. I think Alex, you were there the one time. But anyway, yeah, I think Cate, I think I'm in agreement. You have with not having the interruptions all the time, you can stay focused better. But then again, those that get interrupted all the time, they seem to juggle that focus better, I think, to some extent. So we're kind of all balanced in that respect. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I think everybody's different in that. I'm very different than other people, I think. So this is why I pursue this. For example, I do my best work when I can stay focused without interruption for days sometimes, actually. You kind of come into this workflow of compounding intelligence, kind of. If you're not interrupted, I feel like I can do the best things. But not everybody's like that, right? Some other people need more structure. I kind of detest structure. This is why I chose this kind of lifestyle. And it doesn't work out for everybody, not for me, I guess.
Do you have any little tidbits to share with everybody about how you balance your lifestyle, your work? Because obviously you work an extensive amount of time, but you balance your lifestyle of work as well as with your personal, as well as to avoid burnout.
Well, that's a really good question. Because I don't balance that well. I got to be honest about that. And I'm trying to learn that. And funny enough, through spaces and through people I meet here, because there's so many different perspectives here and people versed in other areas, right? And that is really interesting to me, where I try to balance that a little bit better. For example, I used to host with Yvonne twice a week, regular spaces, right? That burned me out. That's why we're not doing it anymore. We think about doing it again soon, but maybe start with one a week. Because I notice that I can burn out easily because I don't balance it well.
Well, the fact that you're aware of it too is good. Not everybody's aware of that. They might just be grumbly. It might just affect their relationship. Sorry. I noticed I'm a huge follower of you and Eva, and I think you guys make a really good space couple. I think you guys always just are so, it's like you guys are yin and yang. And that's how Cate and I are going to be. Yay!
Yeah, let's go. Woohoo!
So we see a lot of familiar faces in here, and what I wanted to ask is if everybody could repost the space, also make comments in the purple pill, anything you'd like to bring up or discuss pertaining to art, your craft, your content, your what it is you are an expert in, and the more that we can emphasize the skills that people have mastered, I think the more that things we don't master will fall by the wayside, which is good, or we will acknowledge them and be able to work on them and improvement. So just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And I put into the top of my About Me post I did this morning because I knew I was doing this space, and I knew the people that would be drawn to this space would be people that I want to connect with and get to know, because I have this very technical mind, but I love creativity and I'm really pushing myself into that direction more. So I definitely want to connect with people. So that's what I pinned up there. And if you want to write a little bit about yourself, what you do, like Darby was saying, your craft, what inspires you, your creativity, feel free to post that down in the Purple Pill, or you can put it on your profile and share it as post it in the Purple Pill or something, so we can all connect that way. I would absolutely love that. I wanted to just maybe switch gears a little bit, because we've talked a lot about organization and how we stay focused throughout the day, which has been a struggle for me recently, but I think I'm getting some great tips here that I'm definitely going to apply. So one other thing that I'm always struggling with, because I feel like I have all these interests and all these things that I want to be doing, and I know that's like a problem with a lot of creatives, all these things that we want to be doing with our time, but how do we put it together to be like, okay, this is my unique voice, this is authentically me, this is who I am, and really put it all together so it makes sense, and putting it out on X too in a way that like that draws in the right people. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. I was wondering if there's anyone here who has thoughts on this, or if you want to bring up a new topic, I'm fine. This is just what, like I said, this morning I woke up and I just wrote down some things that have been on my mind. And this is one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot. Feel free to jump in if anyone has any thoughts on that, or I can talk about how I'm dealing with it.
Well, we can welcome Scarlett to the stage too. Scarlett, welcome to our stage. Did you have anything you wanted to discuss pertaining to your craft or your artwork, or something you've mastered over the years?
Mastery comes with wittedness and involving myself with mastery and discussion of skills, sets of skills is a proclivity based on where I tend to navigate in my day, and it varies from place to place what I utilize my skills toward or and by or around.
Okay, but what are your skills? You're going around in a circle. I just wanted to know.
I'm not going around in a circle per se, but I definitely am a power line technician. I'm a rock climber. I'm a carpenter, a journalist, an archaeologist, volcanologist.
Wow, you got it all.
Sure. I'm old.
No, you're not old. You've got it all, though. You've got experience, baby. That's awesome. I think that's awesome. You've got such a vast amount of experience. That's fantastic. So what is it that you like doing the most?
Well, I remember teaching Alex growing up about life and where he lived where we lived was a very difficult and challenging place, and we were confused by the environment, and we were just feeling as though we were being narrowed in on all the time and examined and looked at as though some celebrity-like status was something that we had to fail to or sort by or be able to render not the most discrepancy that I could bring to term, to use the terms forecast a celebrity. We don't know sometimes for some people where their lives will go, and has kids, of course, and he's got a family, and he's a great kid, and he's a wonderful kid. He's worked out. Look, success story.
Yes.
Success stories.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That's really helpful. It means a lot. Okay. So in your experience, whether it be the archaeology or any of the vast specialties that you take on, what are some key points that you learned over the years that could help someone starting off in a business or starting off in their craft?
Be brave, mitigate wildfire, ready to move when environment changes pace with force, and be ready to develop a strategy and plan to be able to escape from dangerous situations should they arise, and be able to work in a way that, when it comes to your daily life, when you finally find your pace again and you reestablish your footing somewhere else. You know, you have there's a big world out there, and there are other worlds out there, and we know that, and we want to keep in mind that what keeps us together is calories, diet, exercise, and managing one's walking habits is important, and political speech in public is important. Noticing or mentoring other people can be, for their benefit. Your influence, you don't know what influence you might have on somebody or a family, and you need to step up to the plate when it's time to do that, and be able to help people to grow and learn if they need that help. And then when they don't need that help, they're adults, and they know that, and they grow up and they move on. And Alex is keyed in. He's rock and rolling with his tech now. He's I remember him growing up. He always had his access to his video games, and he worked out and did his exercises and stuff, and learned different languages. And the language barriers are some of those things that we have, that we come up against, that for some people, language barriers can be both a productive mechanism for transformation and can be a wonderful, assuring Gentile, I don't want to say Gentile. Gentile is more for someone who's clever at trying to skillfully woe someone toward their way of examining themselves. But that's not fair to people. So we have to defend people, and we have to train people. And over the years, you learn that having that discussion is a nanny resource, or an older person who's able to help raise the kids when they come up.
You've brought up a lot of great points here, so I want to just kind of interrupt you because there's a lot to unpack here. But I want to go back to what you were talking about with being aware of the world around you. And the word that came to mind when you were talking about all that was adaptability. And I think that is a great word for creatives, being adaptable to whatever's happening around you. And you were talking specifically about inclement weather events and dangerous things happening in the world, but also in our own little world that we have around us, and maybe customers that want to buy something from us, being adaptable, but not compromise, but somehow fitting that in. So that was something that really jumped out at me about what you were saying there. So sorry to interrupt, but
for me, I don't feel that I have a marketing resource that is reliant upon me to earn money for themselves. And should they be availing to some specter of an imaginatory, preclensive jurisdiction of warfare, we are fully on the ground in the Ukraine war and involved.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you again because we're not going to get into any kind of political things. And I know that's something that you like to talk about. You did mention that. I am listening. So I'm going to...
It's a war zone. We're in a war zone, a tactical war zone, and shoulder to shoulder with people. And
right, but we're talking about creative work, art, crafts, artisans, and you're a carpenter. I would love to talk about the work that you create as a carpenter, and I think that could help a lot of people in this room, because the carpenter, the work that they make is so important to this world as a practical thing, but then it's also an incredibly creative, it's a sculpture in a way. So, I would love you to talk about something like that.
You don't have to worship Rudolf Steiner's butt to say that he has had good fitness in his leg to have availed some picture to.
Okay, so we're going to move on. Scarlett, thank you for your contribution on that.
Hey, Darby, Cate, how's it, Alex? Yeah, it really seems like the OpenAI guys did steal Scarlett Johansson's voice. Definitely different. But yeah, I think when it comes to craft and, being able to become, what the future is, crafting a need, I think Alex is one of those guys that I've been following, and it's that determination and consistency and reliability of creating an online art, I can imagine if there's some sort of a festival happening or some sort of a very corporate event, anything in between, that you could approach Alex and ask him, to craft something based on a theme, based on a color scheme, based on a mood, vibe. And that's the sort of crafts that we're going to start seeing being developed and fine-tuned as AI develops, which is exciting.
Totally exciting. And I think you bring up a good point. While we have Alex on the stage, we should utilize him a little bit more, even though he wasn't expecting it. Sorry, Alex. Well, Henny, are there questions you wanted to ask Alex that might be beneficial to the listeners? I mean, I have plenty, but I figured I'll open it up to you since you brought that up.
Well, Alex and I have been friends for a while, but yeah, I think Alex has a strong voice and he can explain. I think he knows what I'm trying to tap into. There's a Mona Lisa, there's a statue of David, and there's like 12 pieces of artwork in the world that we recognize where artists spend a lot of time into it. And if you go back to the ancient times of just creating the brush that the guys had painted with, I mean, that was an art in itself. The fine hairs that they used, the kind of stick that they used, the kind of that they had to use to make the paint. So that in itself was an art piece. And we're evolving so quickly that you've got these hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people creating online, but there's going to be one Alex one day. And I think we'll all recognize that.
I get it. It's kind of like the marble worker. How do you craft into marble? Marble is so intricate, and it takes a very skilled hand to be able to create a statue out of marble. Yeah, Alex. So tell us, in your history, in your experience, how did you start with your crafts? I mean, because you do, first of all, well, let's establish what exactly you do. You do music, you do graphic design, go ahead, tell us all that you do and how you started and where you ended up right now.
All right, I hope you guys can hear me well because there's kind of a thunderstorm right here, right now. It's a little loud, but I hope that comes across well. I think my first steps into art was music. I learned an instrument when I was very young and kept learning more instruments and did like the music production with computers and stuff like that when I was younger. And then I became kind of a weird journey from that. I made a homepage to kind of sell my music to clients, like I wanted to do like music for advertisement or like theater or movies, something like that, right? So you could hire me and make a song for you. And I made this homepage, and I was really fascinated with web design and stuff like that. So I kind of pivoted a little bit into web design and then into kind of design in general. So I got to be honest, I'm not a good artist. I can't draw with my hand or things like that, right? But I did like logo design, branding, all of that, and I kind of came into online marketing and what I do now. But in the sense of art, I mean that is a big topic I try to wrap my head around, right? Because I'm trying to conceptualize, and I don't know the answer to that, what art will be in the future, right? Because it's changing now. I'm not sure where this is going. So my whole profile here is just really me geeking out and trying it out, trying what works, what doesn't, or how art is developing, and how it's going to be in the future. I try to anticipate that, although I still don't have the answer to that. But like not only like media and general news, how is that going to develop now? Because I think it's going to change massively.
I have a thought on that because I would love to know what Darby is seeing in the art world. So you're out there, you're talking to artists and makers and creators out in the real world. Are you seeing AI, or is it being pushed away, or are there people experimenting with it? I would love to know what you're seeing and then where you see it going maybe in that capacity, because it seems to be digital now. I'd love to know how you see it, where it could go into that form of like your art fairs.
Well, that's a good question. And for anybody who's not familiar, I started off making earrings as a little kid. My grandfather was brilliant, and he was a naval engineer, and he actually was like a bigwig for companies and things, and went to Cornell and stuff like that. So he was very artistically creative. I mean, he could do oil painting, and it looked exactly like the scene or whatever. He just was amazing. And he died when I was probably about 9 years old, but he was brilliant, and he kind of would buy all these kits at the time when I was younger that were, kits to make things at home. Like they used to have the Inky Dinks or whatever they were called, and the stained glass things, and you would put these things together and bake them at home, or you put together a dinosaur with using the glue that they've banned ever since. That we could have been in trouble sniffing. Not that I did that, but my point is that there were so many craft kits back then, and that's something you don't see today. You don't see those craft kits. Well, I would take them apart, and instead of making the dinosaur, I'd make something using the parts of the dinosaur and make earrings out of them. And I would take my mom's fabric pins and bend them so that I'd have a hook to attach to that dinosaur part or whatever. I would take mussels, the shellfish. I would take mussels and I'd clean the shell, and I'd paint them with clear nail polish and pull into it and make earrings out of them. And they were gorgeous. And people in school, in elementary to high school, would be like, "Where'd you get your earrings? They're really cool." And I'd be like, "Well, if you want, I could make you a pair for $4." And they'd be like, "Yeah." So then I'd have to make them a pair, and so on and so forth. So I realized that there was definitely a need, and I definitely was onto something, making little dumb earrings every day, using things that nobody else had. And in the process, I did a lot of shows when I was younger, and even to this day, I'd bring my earrings to work in a big, open display box, and I'd sell them to coworkers in the break room at lunch. And they would all give me ideas. Well, do you have any of these in this color, or can you add this part to this part, or whatever. So whatever ideas and suggestions they gave me were actually where the trend was going. And those were things that I picked up on. So I would make something to accompany that trend, and I'd make them in bulk, and they would sell like crazy. So that was just that. That was just the earring part. And, I made what's called shoulder sweepers. That's the name that I gave it many years ago. Well, it turns out before I identified the brand name, and when I was doing all those events, I was a kid. I was doing all these events and things, and it turns out one of my family members was very angry at me for some reason and said, "Your earrings are a bunch of junk." And I just was like, okay. Well, little did I know I absorbed that. So I stopped making them, and I gave everything away. This was in my teens. So I gave all those away. And then later on, I picked it back up, realizing that was my outlet. That was my release. That was how I dealt with things. And it was a great way to do it because it was so holistic for me in terms of energy, in terms of sorting things out, in terms of strategizing how I was going to make the earrings, what type of earrings to make. That way I didn't put those efforts into being upset about myself or absorbing that disregard, that blatant, unkindness. So that's how it all started. And then when I ended up picking it back up, knowing I needed a release, subconsciously, I just started making earrings again because I broke a necklace, and I started making earrings again. And then I was like, why did I ever forget? Why did I ever stop doing this? And that's when I flashed back to why. But then I started developing events on a heavy scale to the point where I was doing every single weekend, twice a weekend, in addition to working a 9-to-5 job. So I'd work 9 to 5, and I would have an event on Saturdays and Sundays, or, so I'd be working straight through, just like you, Alex. And, I learned there's nothing consistent. So how can I build? Where is there a need in this market? And over the years, I would gather all the information from everybody else that was attending these events as artists and as crafters. And I'd say, what's your biggest problem with doing these events? Well, the inconsistency, or the marketing person who's holding the event isn't marketing the event. Or look at the traffic, or we did really well today, or we didn't do really well today. So I probed everybody that I could about asking them pros and the cons. And I kept a list over the years, and I kept adding to it, and I kept collecting business cards. And this is literally from 1999 on. And in the process of doing that, I collected a huge cigar box full of business cards and more from anywhere I went. I mean, literally anywhere I went, I was getting business cards. And then I ended up putting together something. And the more events that I did recently, like 2019, I decided, I talked to all those people. I reached out to every single one of them, and I said, if we could have a consistent location where we could hold these events on a regular basis, would you do it? And they were like, yeah, I guess, if the price was right or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, what if it was affordable? And well, will there be multi-level marketing companies? And I was like, what's that? And they were like, Tupperwares, the Sensi's, the ones that are representatives of the craft, not necessarily those who make the craft. And that's something I didn't think about. I was like, that's true. That's why we can't get into these big events, because most of them are representatives of someone's business as opposed to owning that business or creating that business. And that was something that really hit home with me. So I thought, maybe we should eliminate those who are not an authentic artisan, those who are not an authentic crafter. We don't want commercial businesses coming in here saying, buy my insurance. We don't want the flows of the world, for progressive insurance. We don't want, the Tupperwares and the people that are, granted, they all work hard, and I'm not downtroding them, but at the same time, I've realized that they consume a lot of the space, the limited space at these events. So how do you get really good, authentic crafters in here to show their wear if the spaces are all taken up? So I went to put this together. I found a location that was really popular in a very good area, and I said, okay, guys, let's get this together. Talk to the location. We worked out something. And inevitably, my goal was to have more than one location in Maryland, to do maybe 4 a month, 4 different locations as like a Sugarloaf, but in Maryland. And so I said, I found the location. I agreed to terms, to help that location. They let me know what they wanted to participate in and do. And it turns out they started backpedaling on their agreement. And in a way, it was a blessing from God that COVID hit, because I was able to back out of that arrangement, because everything shut down. And I was realizing that location was not willing to work with us. They were willing they weren't willing to help us. They weren't willing to be there to do everything they said they wanted to do. And then I had to recognize that and realize that was a failed arrangement. And I had to sit there and accept it and move on. But luckily, by the grace of God, I had COVID to fall back on, as an excuse. Everything closed down, so we couldn't do anything for a year. So when that COVID started subsiding, I went to one of the events that I was able to do. And I went to them, and I was familiar with the location. I said, look, if I could rent your place outside in the parking, would you let me? And they said, yeah. And they made it affordable for me. So I contacted who I could and who was bugging me. Why haven't you done anything? Where is it? Where are we doing it? Whatever. And I called them all back, and I developed a group. And that group is called Vendor Members Group. And it's about being a vendor and being a member of the group and being an artist. And the slogan that I created was vendors sell, crafters create. Combined, they form Vendor Members Group. So they're not necessarily a vendor per se, as they are an artistic vendor. So that's where all of that fell into place. And what we did was I decided to hold an event at that location once a month for 5 months. And that way it was like having your own store to sell your ware once a month, like you would at a farmer's market or like you would at another event. But most events, they only hold them in the spring or the fall. And I was looking at that. I was taking this in a different direction. I was becoming a visionary.
Was last year or a couple years ago?
No, I started this in 2019, but we didn't put it.
No, the way you're talking about here, the 5 months.
Yeah, that was 2021.
Okay, well, I just wanted to get into the timeline here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe I should have specified that. I apologize, but so it because we couldn't do anything until, Maryland closed everything down until about early 2021. So I couldn't do my first event. Well, I couldn't even do an earring event until I think it was April, but I couldn't actually hold my events until September. I think we started August through December is how I did it. And then we ended up starting in the parking lot. So everybody had tents and we started in the parking lot. And what we did was we made it a personal experience. Just like Jonathan Caruso makes candles. When he first started making them, he's like, anybody have any advice? And I was like, yeah, I'll give you a lot of advice. Everything that you can do for your display has to be eye level. Because if you don't do it eye level, people browse it. That makes sense.
Yeah, so sorry, I just want to, because we're getting to a lot of points here, so I just want to kind of focus it in a little bit more. And I'd love to know, you're talking to these people, you see them, and you talk to your community. What is the overall feelings about AI and that stuff? I'm just curious.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, of course.
We didn't see anything pertaining to AI at all. We still haven't. The closest we've gotten to that has been this year. We have 2 3D printers.
I love that.
I've gotten to anything technical. And that was only this year. I mean, last year we had a 3D printer and he came back. This year we have a second 3D printer. And it was really hard because, you have 2 of them, and it's opposite ends, or you got to have one outside, one in, that type of thing. But the 3D printer thing is great because one of them has a very small printer that I let him plug in, create something in front of everybody as a display.
Oh, that is so cool. The kids and stuff must love that.
It's totally cool. It is so neat. And the dragons and things. And he also, if I remember correctly, I believe he sells the patterns too. So he sells the patterns to other people that make 3D printing.
Oh, that's such a brilliant idea. A way to,
yeah.
I love that combination of things. And I think that can help people if they're doing things like this and they're trying to figure out a way to connect with what they're building or making and put it online too, is you have this skill set. You can share that skill set, and you can also, make templates and materials for other people to use that are either starting out in it or whatever. Yeah, so that's a great point.
Right, and the thing is, other artistic creatives that are in the group or that have been in our group are, of course, artwork, photography, and believe me, the Smithsonian Institute was actually recommending people come from DC to our events in Timonium, which is about an hour away. So, I mean, that was an honor and a blessing. And at first I was like, yeah, right. Because people would, visit or arrive and I'd say, how did you find out about us? Because everything is about data. I'd say, how did you find out about us? And they'd say, oh, Smithsonian. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, what? And then I was like, the second time it happened, because there was like 8 people that over a course, different people, the Smithsonian told us there's a woman there that loves you. And I was like, wow, thank you. Thank you. Please tell her thank you. I'd love to meet her. Please ask her to show up and introduce herself. I want to thank her for the lead, for the sharing. So, but that's, it depends. But we've had everything from dried food, for what's it called, freeze-dried food, to a local caterer that makes really great shrimp and grits. Oh my gosh. All subsistent farming type things. And that was something I planned on doing. I wanted to make it like a market. But you also have to take into consideration that the location that you choose can also bring your craft value down. And you have to take that into consideration when you're proposing where you're going to be, number one. Number two, your pricing. And it's a very important thing. If you do a flea market, then everybody wants your product, your brand, your heart and soul for 25 cents. So don't do a flea market. Do a craft show. Do an artistic venue. Do an artistic market. Make sure that it's specific to that appeal, that market, that target that you're looking for. Those are really important key points.
Absolutely. I so agree with that. And there was something you said there when you were talking about the idea that someone at the Smithsonian would be interested. And, people are craving like local, they want to get to know their communities. They want to see what people are building and making and creating in their area. And they want to be able to see the people, see it, touch it, get to know them in that way. And, so I love what you do. That's why I was just like, okay, this is what we need to talk about more, because especially with being online, that other piece, we forget about it. And something I've been doing is when I'm out and about in the world and I meet people, I actually connect with them and I give them my business card and all this stuff. And it just, you wouldn't believe how people respond to that. And it still works. It will always work. And then the local people are seeking out local. They are, people with money too. So you don't have to be afraid to go do one of these markets like yours, Darby. If you feel like people are just going to always try and haggle and not pay what you're worth.
Well, there's definitely trends. And I mean, we've definitely seen trends. I mean, initially, like I said, I started with 5, August or December, once a month. Then we came back the next year and I did 8 months in a row. I mean, talk about a glutton for punishment. You try setting up one event, much less 8. I mean, it's a lot. And yet I was doing that full time with my full-time role, 9 to 5. So, I mean, I have the energy, I have the expertise and the rhythm. I get it. I mean, there's a flow, just like a restaurant. There's always a flow. And if there's not a flow, it's probably not a good restaurant. I mean, that's the truth. But my point is this, though. So I went from 5 to 8 the next year. Then last year we did 7. This year we're doing 6. And we're down to September is the next event. We deliberately decided not to do the summer months because right now it's 100 degrees out here. Who wants to be outside? I mean, seriously, the weather conditions that have been, creeping on us between the tornadoes and everything else, you got to really make wise choices. Because keep in mind, when you're doing events, whether they're outside or inside, you have the capacity to lose your event fee if it doesn't turn out well. If it's a storm, if it's people aren't going out in the rain to go to the event, but on a positive, you're writing all that off at the end of the year. So what difference does it make?
Yeah, true. But yeah, the seasonality is huge, and it totally depends on where you actually are living. So if you are thinking about selling in person like that, you have to pay attention to those seasonal patterns, because where I am, further north, this is where everyone comes for vacation during the summer. So we're lousy with people during the summer months, whereas if we held an art fair in April or even in May before it really kicks off the summer, it wouldn't do as well as it would in July or August. So that's a fantastic point to talk about if you're thinking about doing it. And then also the different price points, which I'm a huge fan of having products available at different price points, because that's so important. Not everybody's going in there and ready to throw down $200 on something, but there's plenty of people who have a 20 in their pocket or, in their Venmo and ready to make a sale with you, just looking for something to take home. So we've got a couple new speakers here. We've got Taylor and Angie. Alex has his hand up. We'll go to Alex. And then if Taylor, you want to add something, go for it.
Yeah, I wanted to, Kate, you asked about AI at the part, right? And I have some thoughts on that, but I wanted to ask you guys, how do you see that? Because I think about this stuff a lot, and there are a lot of super negative reactions out there, right? I myself as a musician, because I recently came to the conclusion that this thing is better than me. I'm not. I personally am not outraged by that. I love it. I wanted to kind of ask you two, what do you think about that? Is AI art? And yeah, if you want to talk about that more.
Well, I love the idea of incorporating AI into whatever it is you do. So I don't like the idea of it just taking over and doing everything for you, but I love incorporating it in a creative way. So something like Angie, I think it was, who posted down below in the pill a beautiful piece of artwork, and it's digitally created, and you could look at something like this and discount it or whatever, but I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it's art. And if it's created using AI in any way to cut out the people or change things or certain parts of the scene. I mean, photography, we've been doing it since the beginning of photography. It's just the technology about it's changed. So that's just my overall opinion on it, and in incorporating it in whatever it is that you actually do. The idea of just typing in a prompt and creating an image and then not doing anything with it beyond that, I'm skeptical on. I'm not completely sold on, but I'm not against it either. So I'm open-minded to all of it. So Darby, what do you think about it?
I love the concept, but I'll be honest with you, as someone who recognizes the fact that not everybody can fit in an event. I have to be able to make those limitations and those judgments of what's good and what's not versus what can be brought to the table in the events. I think certain artisans on X stand out to me. Alex, of course, you're like number one. Okay, there's so many people on here. Not play. There's just, even Square Bear does her images of herself, just in different outfits and different styles and themes. She's amazing. She loves the sky, or she paints the sky. Another one, great one, Lionel. He does some really, but styles are all different. And the thing is, I think it's going to get saturated before it gets better, if that makes sense. I think there's going to be so many people that go into the AI art that are not as good, that they're going to fall by the wayside. And the ones that rise to the top, the ones that have been able to pair the different mediums, like a mixed media, those are going to, of course, stand out, and they're going to be the ones that are, voted on by, most. Something that I've always said about X, why does there have to be a minimum? The people will speak. The people will determine what is good and what they like, what they don't like. You know what I mean? It just will. You'll see it. You'll see it by the numbers. And I think certain things stand out. But the question is, what themes are you going with? It's kind of like a fashion show. You've got to make sure that brand that you're developing is consistent with other things you're doing. And if it's not going to flow. And people are going to see that. You do not want to confuse the customers. You don't, because they won't. I think there's different ways that this is being handled. I think, the fact that so many, like I said with Alex, so many mediums are being utilized as one thing. He's incorporating music and the pausing. He does these pauses for things between the music, and it's like you're there, you feel it. I just think there's so many personalities that can be brought to the table through AI, and I don't think we've seen the beginning of it. I don't think we've seen the end of it. I think it's going to get saturated like crazy. Some people are either going to excel at it, or they're going to just fall by the wayside and maybe spin it into a different character.
Yeah, great points. So we've got some hands. We'll go to Taylor and then Angie.
Hi, Kate. You all right? I'm not sure if you can hear me. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're a little faint.
Oh, sorry. One sec. I'll just try.
Okay, Angie, you can go ahead while we're waiting for Taylor.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know what word has been used over and over in this space is the word think. Alex said it a couple of times, and Darby said it a couple of times, and that's what art does. It makes you think, not only with your eyes, but with your heart. And it makes one think, not only about themselves, but of the about the world. Darby was talking about shows. I was quite active years and years ago in a show that was quite popular in Austin, Texas called Fiesta, which was put on by Laguna Gloria Art Museum. I helped coordinate that art show for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years in a row. Huge, huge show. You know, hundreds of applicants that had to be whittled down to a doable number on the campus. Walking through the show as it was going on, it was a one-day show. It had a night, a premium opening, and then the Saturday was the show. And walking through the show with everybody selling and talking about their artwork was an experience that I will never forget, because this word, think, it made people think and communicate on a level that is surreal. Looking at a sculpture and making it bring out a memory, or perhaps helping somebody think in a futuristic manner. That's what art does. I posted Maxfield Parrish painting that he did in 1918. And it's 3 women reflecting in a pool of water. And just looking at that photograph, what are they talking about? You can see one of the women is definitely engaged with the other one. And one is just holding her hand just above the water. I kind of feel like it's safe to say that Amaryllis is here on the stage. I feel like it's kind of safe to say that we're all Elon fans here. Maybe Amaryllis isn't, but I know all of us speakers kind of. And I believe I read a few weeks ago or a few months ago when I had I had alerts whenever he posted anything, which was driving me crazy because he was posting all the time. But one of the things that I remember reading is he said something about, it was about psychology, and it was about psychoanalysis and how dangerous it is. And I agree that psychoanalysis is very dangerous, but I also think it's very necessary. And one of the things that I loved about Jung, J-U-N-G, who was a contemporary of Maxfield Parrish. I always want to say Maxwell Parrish, like the Beatles song, Maxwell. Anyway, Maxfield Parrish. One of the things that Jung, as opposed to Freud, he was very much into self-psychoanalysis. You know, instead of speaking to somebody about your problems and your what is it called, your problem, to yourself.
And you're rugging a little bit. And you're rugging a little bit. Is anybody else noticing
Art
that?
helps you do that. Just looking at those 3 women in that. Okay,
Angie, can you hear me? She can't. I don't think she can hear me.
I will stop.
Yeah, I think you're rugging. Yeah,
and stop talking.
Yeah.
Self and analysis.
All right. Well,
We're
we'll
gonna
come
need
back to
to-
Angie. But Taylor.
Yeah, I'm going to drop her down.
Okay.
I'm going to drop her down in the meantime, bring her back up. But go ahead.
Yeah, and Taylor, your audio working now. What would you like to add?
Yeah, it's working all fine. So yeah, all I wanted to ask really is seeing that Cate, into website designing and I'm guessing creating websites. I just wanted your insight in particular. So I've been creating an AI agency with one of my friends for the past 2 years now. Kind of when we came to terms with the university, and we actually began creating our own AI media, just trying to get out there and network with other people, with like-minded, with similar views to ourselves, with the potential that we've seen with it. And we also enjoyed using it. We thought it was like something completely new. However, when it came to building a website, we were stuck in motion with 2 things. I did a business management degree. He did a marketing degree. And he was saying with marketing, the simpler you keep it, the better it is. And I was trying to tell him that AI is quite an intricate and technical topic in the world as we see it today. And we've been kind of stuck in motion. So we've created a website. It's got a lot of information on, and we've made it very interactive, to kind of relate to the old thing with AI being, like a mentor and like an aid for many businesses. However, we was struck between whether we should stick on this path and keep our website as it is, or completely just scrap it and try and reduce how many clicks it takes to actually convert a customer, just to keep it simple. I was just wondering on your opinion and your advice what you give to someone like myself and my friend.
Oh yeah, no, this is a great questions, and this stuff gets me excited because this kind of advice spans. It's just not just website; it's marketing, it's everything. So you need to know who your customer is, and that's like if you don't know who that is, that exact person. I mean, describe that person. You can't market to them, and the website won't work how you want it to. So once you figure that out, yes, less clicks. Indeed, if you're marketing to that customer and they can find you, you have to be able to communicate exactly what they need to know. That person needs to know immediately when they land on your website, and they know exactly what they're supposed to do next. We have to guide them. So we attracted the customer. We gave them the information they needed right away. They know they're in the right place. They feel warm and fuzzy. And then we gave them a button to click with the action that they have to do next. And if they're not ready, then they can subscribe to my email list. Now, this applies to everyone, what I just said. So if you're making something and you want to put it out online, it's the same exact thing. You need to know exactly who your customer is. And for me, my philosophy on that always is I'm my own customer. So there's people who have my personality, have my interests, have a lot in common with me. Those are the people that I'm actually marketing to. So it's in reality, when you kind of understand that you're marketing to yourself, then it makes it all a lot easier. So that, that's a lot to take in, but I hope that's helpful and kind of gets you in the right direction. When you're starting to think about actual design, like all these flashy things and interactive and everything, it's like if the person who is landing on your website is like, I'm ready to buy, I want to buy this, and make it like difficult for them, then, that can be a problem as well. So that's my philosophy on it. Everyone always has their opinions. So ask as many people that you can that same question and see what comes back, and people will start to see patterns and understanding. So
also, can I add a little something? Also, sorry, Kate. Also, when you get an interested buyer, when you have somebody that's interested in your work, let's put it this way. I am the abnormal customer, and I'll tell you why. Because when I see something I really like, I go all out. I go running around the event, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to eat this pound cake. It is so darn good. It melts in your mouth. It was kissed by the sun. It was this. It was that. When you get a customer that is interested in your work, you need to get their info, whether they buy or not. Get their data. Find out, just say, do you want to be on my mailing list? Because I'd love to be able to let you know new things that are coming up. I'm delving into different territories of this art, and so on and so forth. Would you like to be availed about where I'm going to be, or where I'm going to feature my art, or how I can be found, or whatever? Get their contact information. But keep in mind, those that buy, you need to ask them, you need to remember what it is you said to them that sold them. You need to think about those little conversations that you have with them that connected the dots for them to realize they had a need to buy your art or your work. Find out those things. Online, it's really hard to do because you're not getting that feedback. You're not getting that interaction. You're not able to ask them questions. They just push a button. So these are things even afterwards, even if you send them a little email or a note afterwards and say, what did you like about this? And what drove you to make this purchase? Because I'm trying to gain feedback and I'm trying to learn more about what marketing works. Just be honest with them. It all works.
Well, I think we've had that issue actually recently. So we've been looking at signing our first client. It took us 2 years to get to the point. Everything's been complete. The software, running a chatbot for the website. It was doing like dropshipping of night gear. And quite big on Instagram. I think they have about 50 to 60,000 followers. And the selling point we gave them, to be honest, was this AI chatbot is going to make your life so much easier. It's going to do all the customer service. It has an API called Shopify, so whatever information we have access to allow to be sent through the bot. So what it was like an order tracking bot, for example, they give their email and boom, it gives them the order tracking. That's just like one floor on the bot. And the next call we had, I was there showing them that CRM, where they can look at all, so they can basically control the bot and turn it on and off and see all the conversations. So we've made it sound, really simplistic. However, they've never used a CRM other than the one that Shopify gives them. So I was a bit lost with that. And then the day after that, kind of gone in again too early, I believe, with showing them the Slack channel and how if there's an emergency that your customers have been, they'll be directed to a Slack channel. And then they've never used Slack new. So I feel like we've overwhelmed our customer and kind of gone against the core belief of this AI chatbot's going to make your life easier, because now we've had to teach them a completely new business in actually running this chatbot, which they probably thought they'd never have to do. We have been looking at trying to channel down and keep it all on one platform, hence like the CRM. I'm going to take that on board 100%. I do believe that we are going against our core values, and I think that's why we have been struggling. We've got to the point now where we're trying to make this like a realistic goal and get, more and more people involved with what we're doing and getting them on board. But when we've gone away against our own core values, I do believe that's in the end.
Is that where the problem lies then? Do you think because you stemmed away from your core values, or do you think it's time to pivot to a different core value?
I think mainly the main focus I'm going to look at now is basically getting back on track. We're going to have a sorted channel issue, make sure that it can all go through an app where they can have access to the CRM, the Slack channel, and then it's just a case of saying, yeah, look on your app, all your information. It's either from now on getting new clients, we're just going to have to reduce the amount of features that we're offering to them, because I feel like although we see it as like amazing, proper over the edge thinking, which is going to help the company grow massively, if they don't know how to use the tools we're giving them, they're not going to get any value whatsoever. They're just going to ignore all of it. So I think the main goal now, after listening to our opinions, is probably not downsize, I wouldn't say, but be more specific in the offer that we're giving them. So if it's order tracking, they can have order tracking. If you want a simple customer service bot, give them a simple customer service bot. If you want a CRM, just give them a CRM, rather than trying to make a package overwhelm. And it looks like we're selling them a course then. They have to kind of stay with us, or half of the customer service will just fall apart if we decide to change our prices, for example.
Yeah, I want to just jump in because this is a great conversation to talk about. The one thing that I always battle with, tech, when I'm trying to start with a new app or anything like that, it's like, now I'm in your world and you're not in mine. So I have to learn your world. And that is always one of the biggest hurdles. And at this point, for me, just speaking from my point of view, if an app puts up a hurdle or I get confused, I'm out. Like, it's just because everyone knows, if you're paying attention to technology now, that something else is going to come along. I'll just wait for that next week. So yeah. And one other thing that I always suggest too is build out what you're selling to your customer. So if your customer has an e-commerce Shopify store, you need to build an e-commerce Shopify store and use your program in it and do it. You need to do it. And then now you can sell it. Do you love it? Is it working? Is everything going as well? And then when it comes to Slack, I don't know Slack. When an app tells me to go on Slack, I tell them I'm going my business elsewhere because I don't know it. And it's not that I am anti-Slack. I just don't have time to figure it out and learn this new thing that is nothing. It looks like nothing. It looks like no other app. There's no other app like it. So that's why I get confused when I go in there. I'm like, what is this? I don't even know. It's not familiar in any capacity. So those are just my pain points that I'm like projecting. But, I hope that helps you. And, I'd love for you to come back. We're going to skip next week because it's the 4th of July here in the United States. So we will skip next week, but we'll be here on the 11th. And it'd be great for you to come back and update us about what's going on. We'd love to hear that. I'm always interested in people's progress over time.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'll turn it off. But yeah, I'm going to shoot off now because I've got a meeting now with the business partner, my friend.
Good luck.
I'm trying to give him ideas on how we can improve the whole postage. But that again, I never thought of that with this. Like, we all think it's like a world-renowned platform to use, but it's not. It's not like Facebook. It's not like Instagram. It's not like X. It is like its own tool. So I am going to put that point across tonight, and hopefully on the 11th we'll have some positive feedback to share with the group.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Congratulations too.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I love all this stuff. So keep going. Now, Soulworker, you had your hand up earlier. I don't know. Did the thought pass? You're welcome to join the conversation.
He better not pass. He better get up here and say something.
Hey, Cate. Hey, Darby, Alex, Henny, and the new faces in the room. Thanks for the opportunity. The conversation kind of swayed a little direction that is not my area of expertise, although I will say that I love the idea of people using AI in really any capacity in their creative endeavors, whether that's creating a business, creating art, or creating music, whatever it is. Like Henny was saying earlier, I mean, first you have to build a paintbrush before you can make a painting, and that in itself is an art form. These tools that are being made available to us now on a weekly basis, and the updates are absolutely amazing. And I struggle with, what do I want to do, right? Like, which tools do I use? Which, what do I really want to put out there? I think, Cate, you spoke about that early in the space as well. Art, in my world belief, kind of comes from the pain and struggle, the message and the story that we want to share with one another. And in some ways, AI makes it really, really easy, almost too easy. But that's where I think intention comes in and purpose comes in. As long as we're centered in love and we're trying to create things that are beautiful and inspiring, amen. Use AI all day long, right? So I'll land with that, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, excellent. It's true. I really think it's going to be, it's like a part that we can utilize, as a tool we can utilize. I don't like to use the word tool, but it's a something that we can utilize to improve, make us more efficient and things like that. So that's how I like to use it. And a couple other things that came up in this conversation, and anyone's welcome to jump in and add their thoughts or take the conversation anywhere. But someone had brought up earlier the idea of mastery. And I really love that idea of focusing on something and mastering it. And then now you own that confidence that you can now do anything with it. You can apply it to almost any part of your life or any other part of your work. So that spoke out to me earlier. I just take notes as people are talking when something just jumps out at me like that. And I'm having a struggle because I have mastered a few things. There's some things that I'm like, I'm not there yet, but we're always learning at the same time. Even if you find that you have mastered a craft in your mind, either your customer's mind or that you're successful at selling it or whatever, but there is always room for improvement and learning. So I'm hoping these spaces we can learn from each other, because when Angie was talking about the history of art and she posted that image and I looked at it, glanced at it, I didn't even read the caption with it, thinking that it's some modern creation. And you can see how all this stuff, it talks to each other, it connects, and we can learn from the past to master our crafts now and apply to these new technologies. It's all so exciting. Yeah, Alex, you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I believe it's very important to look at the past, especially now with AI, right? You guys talked about how AI will flood the market, basically, Right? And I think that's true. We will have more art than humanity can consume. But I think people who know what they're doing will stick out. And I recommend to people really going back to the beginning, really, right? Because in this time period right now, we have a lot of digital artists who use like Photoshop and digital software to create cool things, but they never had hands-on time from the area before, right? I think they will struggle the most because now the digital stuff is just going to be done by the computer, but you can instruct the eye better if you know what you're doing, if you have been really a painter and you have really learned color theory, right? Or like I learned to make photos on mechanical camera, so I know about exposure times and the different lenses, and now I can instruct the eye with those terms, which other people don't because they have never used a mechanical camera, right? So my tip really would be for the AI future, like to go back and learn an instrument and how a mechanical camera works and to paint and all of that, because that will then make you a better artist. You utilize AIs later.
100%.
Can I? Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to layer on top of that what Alex just said. And if we remember 2000s or late 1990s, starting 2000, the mobile phone had just sort of come on, onto the market. We had the Nokia, 3310, no camera. And all of us today, fast forward 20 years, and we're sitting with Instagram, we're sitting with all these platforms where there are creators creating content and they are making millions of dollars income from that. You take Mr. Beast, that guy, what a consistent, reliable entertainment of the new age is. He took that and all he's done is put all these like survivor shows and Mythbusters and all these things. He's going to put it all together into these new age sort of like he's got his audience, but now people are starting to recognize him because of his fame. So now he's not just got this niche audience of youngsters, he's got the whole world. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to start seeing, if you take, for instance, my mom, she used to paint, and there was a 50-bedroom hotel in the town where I grew up, and I asked her would she be able to do 2 paintings per room, and the hallways and the restaurant. Can she do some paintings? And she said, yeah, she can, and it's like a 2-year project. And the only thing that is happening now is art is catching up to where automobiles have taken us when it comes to going to Cate or Volkswagen to actually driving a car at 200 miles. It's taken us from the Wright brothers practicing with their paper wings to where we are flying we see Starship launch. So I think all that is happening now is that the way that art is being done is catching up, and people can expedite. My mom did art for this hotel for, it took 2 years to complete a 50-bedroom hotel's art, where someone like Alex, if they had the 4K that can display the art in every single room, in the lobbies and that, if there's a certain theme, if there's Olympic, sports happening in a town, or if there's some sort of a Mardi Gras festival or something, that is where Alex and any other artist fine-tunes the art and able to reliably create art, on an expedited level. That is what I think we're going to see very soon.
Like a channel. Yeah, I get it. It's like electronic. Yeah. They used to have that, though, with electronic advertising. I mean, it's like a billboard. That's all it is. It's a billboard, except it would be in a home.
That's how Daniel Snyder made his first million. He did the flat screen TV vertical as advertisement board.
Yep.
And sold them.
Just rotate. He was in a queue. Yep.
He buying the Washington football team at the time.
And it's a brilliant idea. It really is. It is. But how many? It's kind of like we've gone away from the handheld photography on the 4x6 glossy to not being able to touch it now.
I have thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Kate.
I think that one thing, if there's someone out there that considers themselves an AI artist, I want to challenge those people to print their work, print it, put it out there, create it, make it something tangible, and see how it translates. Because when we have something that's digital, like I love photography, but I don't like how it translates on a computer screen or on a phone. I get it hung up on that and it drives me crazy. So I don't put it out there very much. But I love it when it comes out of my printer and it's this huge piece on a beautiful piece of art paper. And then I can have an artisan, make a beautiful frame to put that in. You know, it takes this from just an image that we see on a screen into a piece that is just beautiful. So that's just a thought that came to mind. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's a great thought, because not only can they do that, because this is how people make money. You have to think outside the box on a regular basis. Don't lose the old methods. Do not lose the old methods. Don't divert 100% from those old methods, because I'm telling you what, there's always, just like clip earrings. People still wear clip earrings. Why in the world? I have no clue, but they do. And
I don't have my ears pierced.
Well, that's right, exactly. So that's precisely my point. You know, same thing. I mean, like with your artwork, yes, you can make a non-fungible token. You can do the numbered artwork and sell it based on that electronically, or you can somehow, watermark it that it's yours. But how do you track it? How do you keep track? So there's got to be a way to at least have some type of tracking system, which obviously you can do. You know how to do these things. Soul Worker, you were on Pat saying these things, and I'm sorry I cut you off initially, but I was like, do not give up on the hard copies. Do not give up on the copies of the prints. Do not give up on the actual originals too. Create that original, make that the highest price point. And all the rest, you're going to fill in the blanks, but it's going to depend on the style and the type that you're selling. That's all.
I was just going to echo Alex's point about, learn the old technology. I was lucky enough to learn on a Pentax K1000, 35 millimeter, and going into the darkroom, processing our film, really understanding grain, film speed, like all the different ways it could be manipulated. And like, it was just a ton of fun. And I kind of feel bad just listening to what you guys just said. I mean, I put out images I capture on X that just move me for a moment in my day, whether it's a sunset or some animals that are working their way through the farm or whatever it is. And I don't know a market to watermark and sell these, snapshots, whether it's from travels in the Shenandoah Valley or Oklahoma or whatever. But I mean, this is part of what Kate was talking about at the beginning is, finding your way on X or as an artist or as a creator. And then, I had some other thoughts about Grok and how it's really been amazing to be able to bounce things off of Grok in terms of story ideas and things like that. So I don't know, has anybody had any experience with that?
I use it all the time.
Yeah, me too. Not the right thing, but just to make sure that my details are right. Sorry, Kate, you probably use it in a different way.
Yeah, for brainstorming. And I don't use Grok a lot, but I am more and more when I need something that's X related, like I'm trying to get information directly from X. Grok is the best way to do that. But just talking to any of these, like ChatGPT, or I was using the new Hume AI on the phone, is pretty amazing too. Just to get those ideas out, process them, get someone else's thought, another thought that maybe wouldn't have come to mind, and that spurs another thought, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of it.
What was Kate? What did you say to use the what? I missed what you said you used on the phone.
Oh, Hume, HUMEAI. And there's a lot of, the problem in the app store is there's all like these knockoffs of everything. So it's you have to go to the source and get the link to the app store. They have a X profile that I went through. Yeah, so I'm going to have to wrap this up at noon. I am doing a live stream at 1, and that's like a Q&A regarding, websites, social media, anything like that. I'd love for anyone here to join me at that if they're still around. That's, more interactive because we can go in the chat and ask your questions and talk that way a little bit differently. So that will be happening. So we'll go through some of the hands here and get everyone's thoughts. And we have Alex, go for it.
Yeah, just a quick answer to Soulworker, right? I do talk to LMMs all the time. Not particularly Grok, but I guess I talk more to ChatGPT. It doesn't really matter, though they are all very smart, right? And especially in art, because you can ask them questions even now you can feed them images, right? Like, I like this color. What color code is this? And what color to go with that, right? And explain a little color theory to me. And stuff like that all the time. Music also. I'm trying to get the best out of these AI generators. I'm talking a lot to LLMs actually and ask them about music styles, subgenres, how they're classified. I know a lot of that because I'm a musician, but I can always learn more. And this then enables me to do better stuff.
Is there one you use more than others, Alex?
Yeah, but just because I'm used to it, I have a subscription, and I think a lot of people talk about Claude Free now. It's supposed to be really good. I tested it a little bit. It's really good. Grok, in my opinion, has still a long way to go, and it's cool that it's in X. I use it for other things, right? To ask about stuff on X. That's what is really, I think, really can come into its own. But ChatGPT can search the web, stuff like that, right? And yeah, I like to talk to it, by the way. I have the app on the telephone. Everybody can try that right now. It's for free, right? You can just talk to it like to a human being. I just do that, taking a walk in the park and brainstorm for it sometimes.
How do you talk to it? I'm sorry, wait, you're talking to me here. I need to dumb down.
Okay, yeah, then don't see that. So if you have the ChatGPT app, normal from the App Store, right? It's a bit confusing because you can start typing, right? And then there is a little microphone which you can dictate what you're going to say. But besides the microphone is a little headphone symbol. If you click that, it will switch into an entirely different mode, the voice mode. And then you can just talk to it.
Oh, I love you, Alex. Thank you.
I talked to it.
Yes,
Me too.
here's another thing. Sorry to speak over people, but here's another thing. I'm a financial planning and analysis manager for our farm, and also the sheep and compliance manager. So those are the two portfolios that I run. So I work a lot with finance and cost of sales. So what our fertilizer costs, what our growing medium costs, and what we have to sell our produce for. But the cool thing is I've got all these Excel spreadsheets that I've built. I'm quite a bit of a whiz with the coding in the macros. So just your basic coding in Excel. But now with ChatGPT, I've actually brought Copilot into the Excel spreadsheets. So basically what happens is when I'm in the Excel spreadsheets and I'm using Visual Basic, I can ask it to do something for me. I don't have to go in and try and record a macro or physically think of the code that I would have to write in Visual Basic. It does it for me. So if I, for instance, have certain criteria that I have to meet, I need to meet this criteria at 75%. You're going to tell me that I'm running out of my reserves. And it doesn't. It's the Copilot which is basically amazing to use any of the Microsoft products.
Fantastic. So we're going to be wrapping up here in soon. We'll give Rich Silver a chance to talk. Stand up. Go for it.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Darby. Hey, Cate. I just didn't want to be rude. Hey, I had my hand up earlier and I was going to talk, but I think my anxiety got the best of me, so I put it down. But then I was like, I need to at least say hi. So, hello, everybody. I love the conversation. It's very relevant to what I'm doing right now because I used to paint and sell my art like 15, 20 years ago, and I've gotten really back. I've gotten back into it in a major way recently, and I've gotten really into AI art, which is exactly what you guys are talking about. I don't want to be too specific because I'm getting ready to launch my website. I have a domain and a website that I've had for like 14 years, and it's really good. And I'm like, why have I never used this? And with this passion that I have building right now, I'm doing it. I'm actually building the site right now while I'm listening to you guys talk. Anyway, I just want to say thank you. I'm enjoying the conversation, and I will be back. We'll be back. So,
Congratulations on that. That's so exciting. You know, you've had a website for 14 years. You established, put it out there, get it going, date it, and then share it with us. Okay. And then,
Yay, Rich!
yeah, so awesome. I love to hear that. It is all about combining those things in this modern world, you know. So, okay, we have Fern here, got their hand up, and then we're gonna have to wrap up the space.
Hi, my name is Jacob. One LM that you guys might find useful, I don't know if you already use it, is Perplexity. And the reason why Perplexity is interesting is because it actually cites its sources. So all the information that it gives you, it's cited, it searches the internet and brings you information that you can actually go back and use. So it's almost like having a research intern or something like that. But I guess this would be a cool way to end the room. Is it all right if I share a poem? It's not AI.
Go for it. Is it short?
It's good.
All right, let's hear it.
Beneath the silence, if you listen, what's remained true since the beginning. Higher truth. In plain sight, it's hidden. Attempts to explain it became religion. But these attempts to explain divine are only painted pictures of sunrise, interpretations of the human mind. So keep the good and leave the rest behind. It's in the Bible and the Dhammapada, from the Upanishads to Václav Havel, or Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching. Harmony with the 10,000 things. Do no harm the golden way, whether man, woman, or the state. And in our fear to protect our love, and be mindful of what we become. Because there was Jesus, Moses, Buddha, and in Sumer Anunnaki, Zeus, Athena, Thoth, Ra, Shiva, Shakti, Muhammad, Ira, Kocha, Kwani, and Odiloki, Yahweh, Science, Dharma, Tao, Misterio, Kito, Grande. Te dua ti amo, obrigado, Yemasha. Tanto vala, gracias, spasibo, shen, tak, inshallah, whether fox or grasshopper. Meluya, mesvi, rat. And in the Garden of Eden, so they say it, with forbidden fruit, a serpent waited, even Adam, both blissfully naked. Their ignorance lifted soon after they ate it. And Sanskrit texts tell tales of an ancient juice of soma. How did they make it? The clues are there, but it's still debated. Why do you think that the cows are sacred? And the ancient Egyptian sacred tree of life, the roots of this fern species are rife with a molecule that holds the keys to light, illuminating visions far beyond sight. From east to west, the seeds of religion was plants intertwined with shamanism. Now close your eyes for better vision, and to these sacraments, let your ears listen. Sapito, San Pedro, Salasvi, Manita, Sananga, Tabaco, Hape, Santa Maria, Chacruna, Acacia, Harmala, Jurema, Yobo, Campo, and we can't forget our Savior, me, Ayahuasca.
Very lovely. Very lovely.
Great job. Thank you for that. And I do love the idea of people being welcome to share their art in this space, either if it's visual by posting it down below or audio like that. And join us in the next one, which will be July 11th. We're going to skip the 4th. So everyone have a wonderful 4th of July. And if you'd like to join me at 1, I'll be doing a live stream here on X, so you can join there. And Darby, anything you would like to say? Of course, please follow the speakers we have up here. And
I love all you guys. Thank you for everything. You guys are really wonderful, and thank you for supporting our vision here. And Cate, before you close out, give it 10 seconds or 15 seconds because there's a delay, okay? And then that way it'll record to the last minute. But anyway, thank you, everybody. Love you. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you. Bye.